10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hey, and there we go. Just like I was hoping. We're live.
Just a few seconds. Okay, anyways, I didn't know if we were live or not. I never do. Welcome to the RichAlvarez channel. Welcome to another fantastic RichAlvarez live stream.
What Rich is trying to say is, welcome to our live stream.
Right.
It's good to have you here.
All right, with me as always is Chris. Live streams on this channel have been rather random as of forever, honestly. I don't know if we've ever kept up with a schedule.
We don't really have a schedule.
Whatever.
You could just catch us when you catch us.
But this week, Nintendo did their big Nintendo Switch 2 live direct. And, we started talking about it on the phone. And we're like, we should actually just do a live stream if we're going to be talking, because we had like an hour-long conversation on the phone, and we're like, this could be a live stream. So we decided to get together today and do exactly that. Do a live stream. We took rigorous notes on the actual Nintendo Direct itself, and we are here to talk about most of them. Now, I'll admit, there were a few sections of the Nintendo Direct that I watched the whole thing when it was live, back on Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it happened.
And then we just rewatched
we just rewatched it again just to refresh. Live. But there was a few parts that we skipped because we're like, we don't care about this or that. We won't say, there's a few things, but we are very excited about several aspects of what we saw. And we, of course, will also, including talking about the upcoming Mario Kart World game, which is getting its own Nintendo Direct on April 17th.
Yes.
So we might be back after that or something to talk about...
If there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
If there's a lot of new stuff to talk about. Because, they showed off a lot with Mario Kart, but since it's getting its own Direct, they probably want to show off certain aspects or new characters that they didn't talk about in this Nintendo Direct. And they probably didn't want to spend too much time on one game when they're talking about so many things. Chris, what should we talk about first? Because I know what we should talk about last.
There's a lot of stuff to cover. What we should talk about before we talk about what we're going to talk about first is making sure we got the live chat up.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a slightly new setup, so I think we might need to toggle something. By the way, if you guys are watching right now, can you just say hello in the chat?
Say hello in the live chat.
Because I just want to make sure that we can actually read your comments as we're going. And because we have a different setup than last time, we don't see any comments right now. So if you're watching, it looks like we got 15 people watching. Say hello in the chat. Give like a number 1 or something. Oh,
there
here we go.
So
okay, now I can see them.
Connected.
All right, awesome. So I see we got Twin Tail Mix, Mega Shadow. Thank you very much for joining. For anybody that said anything before just now, we don't
say it
chats.
Again.
So at any point, if you guys have something important you want to chime in on, of course, we have super chats open. They're much appreciated, and we'll answer your questions or give comments if you want to chime in.
Right, we don't have Chris's fancy voice chat thingy because it broke, months ago, honestly.
Well, long story short, I have to figure out, it stopped working, and I'm going to have to do a ton of troubleshooting to get it working on the back end, and I haven't had the energy to do that yet. So we're just going to read manually.
We will just read your super chats, and we do really appreciate your super chats. If you would like me to do any kind of song and dance... I'll do anything.
Awesome.
Within limits.
But I see we do have a bunch of people in the chat. Oh, and we got Marty Man, who is a member of the channel. Thank you, Marty Man, for being a member. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us. Okay, so with that said, I was thinking we just go in the order of what was in the
that works for me
because I've got a ton of notes on Mario Kart World. So first off, Mario Kart World, initial thoughts. Or do you want me to jump in?
I'll start. Obviously, if you hadn't guessed, Chris and I have a long history with Mario and Luigi.
Who would have thought?
It's funny because I think at this point, oh God, I was 19, when we started Stupid Mario Brothers, which the YouTube channel had already been around for over a year at that point, like a year and a half. But, we had done, nobody remembers the things we did before Stupid Mario, let's be honest. But, there was a lot of us experimenting with school projects or just, goofing around with lawnmowers or whatever the hell we were doing at the time.
True.
But I was 19 years old when we did the first episode of Stupid Mario. So it's been almost 19 years since we did that, because I'll be 38 by the end of the year. So almost as much time has gone by between Stupid Mario Episode 1 and now as me being born and Stupid Mario Brothers Episode 1.
That's true.
I just wanted to put that in perspective for a second. To show you that we really love Mario and Luigi. That was
That's to establish our credibility as knowing a lot about
and
Nintendo.
of course, I was a cocky 19-year-old that thought I knew everything about everything. Now I'm a cocky 37-year-old that thinks I know everything about everything. But the point is, we love Mario. We love Mario Kart. I think that, like, almost every one of my sister's birthdays has been like a Mario Kart themed birthday.
There's always a Mario Kart
and we do a
aspect.
tournament. And somebody gets a trophy, true. And at least one time it was me.
And every other time it's usually Christine, because
she's
really
Christine
good
herself.
at Mario Kart.
But anyways, so this looks especially fun from the social perspective, right? Mario Kart used to be something else. It used to be that you would play it by yourself. You'd have fun playing it by yourself. And if you happen to have friends over, then you could do, fun stuff with your friends. Now, especially in the last 10 or so years, Mario Kart really feels like the party experience. I would say I have more fun at parties playing Mario Kart than Mario Party, honestly.
It's a little bit quicker in pick up and play because you can do a few races and jump out, whereas Mario Party, you got to really sit down for like an hour at minimum.
Oh, happy birthday, EDMG.
Happy birthday.
So, anyways, going back to this, so this really is playing into the social aspects. It's going to be online, of course, up to 24 characters per track, which is obviously
really
a record
cool.
for
a huge number.
It's I'm my only worry with that is that feels a little overcrowded, or could maybe I don't know, maybe the tracks are super wide. They do look pretty wide in the video, so maybe that's not an issue. The other social aspect of being able to go off course and like explore the map with friends and take pictures with friends, this could go two ways. That looks like it could be a lot of fun, especially if they built up the worlds outside of the tracks. And as Chris, we were talking earlier before we started, if they have hidden stuff that like unlocks things in the game or new aesthetics, like that would be a lot of fun. However, of course, just like everything, it could go the other way, and the outside the tracks could be underdeveloped. But it's Nintendo. I have a feeling that they're going to be adding a lot of cool stuff. Sorry, now it's Chris's turn.
Yeah, well, I guess just to rewind, Mario Kart has always been a special game series for me. I did not play the Super Nintendo Mario Kart that much. My first one that I played a ton was Mario Kart 64. So when I think of birthday parties from the 90s when I was a kid, I think of playing Block Fort or Double Decker, and doing battle mode with the balloons, and just that was so fun doing that 4-player couch co-op. So I in a way, I actually think I enjoy the battle mode more than the races, just because most of my memories, it's okay, racing is fun, but let's do battle mode because that's where the real action is. But anyway, long story short, I do have quite a bit of nostalgia for the Mario Kart series. I remember playing just pretty much almost every one of the games throughout the years. So I do have high hopes for Mario Kart World. And I was telling Rich about this. I was trying to think, the last time we got a new Mario Kart, not just a deluxe upgrade, was Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, which I think was 2014, give or take.
It's a long time
It's
ago.
been 10 years. Because then
they just had deluxe and then all the upgrades.
Yeah, and I do think that it was good that Nintendo did that, because obviously Mario Kart 8 was a great game, and there was more that they, could
I've always said I think 8's
out.
my favorite just because it includes the best
everything.
ideas and everything from everything else.
So anyway, getting to Mario Kart World, which finally is going to be the first true new Mario Kart game in basically a decade, the big play here for what's new, what's fresh, is this free roam. So like Rich was saying, it's the kind of thing where at first it looks really fun, and I'm thinking, okay, that's different, free roam. But then I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, how long am I going to enjoy just free roaming with my buddies until it gets kind of boring? What else is there?
What else is there? Thank you, Swan Princess.
Yeah, so I'm glad you got that. So anyway, my hope is that there are going to be extra features they add in. What if there are secret things you have to find, or what if there's items you have to collect, or they have something extra to add to the free roam, which I feel like they probably will, because I feel like free roam just in and of itself, at some point, you're going to want more. But I am optimistic. I do think that it's a really cool idea, and I'm excited to see what they're going to add. So I am feeling pretty hopeful for this. there were some other things we were I took notes on too, which was the Diddy Kong overlap. Remember how we saw?
So
yeah, I'll let you explain
like
that.
you know now like in the previous couple of games when you're like in the air you have a glider. So in this one when you go over a jump and you're in the air you actually have wings. And I think that both kind of reminded us of like plane mode from Diddy Kong Racing back in the day.
Or the jet ski water tube mode too.
Poor Diddy Kong. I wish we almost got a sequel to Diddy Kong Racing in the form of Donkey Kong Racing, but you know we're not going to go into all that. But yeah, and then when you're in the water, it's kind of like jet ski mode. And there's also I don't know if they showed it or they in this, but there's also snowmobile mode too when you're in the snow.
Oh, okay.
So your car can transform into a bunch of different stuff depending on the terrain, which of course is awesome. Now, what is another interesting tidbit that I don't think we've covered yet is that the reason why this is called Mario Kart World, besides the fact that everything Mario always has to become world,
world is next.
Is because they're trying to go open world. So besides like free roaming and everything, all of the courses are connected. And yes, you can still do a traditional mode where it's like 4 races and then you're done. But also the big kicker here is that all of the courses are part of this giant, bigger map. So you can do a mode where you go through one course, then the second course, then the third course, and so on. You can go through the entire world of courses in a single run rather than have any breaks. And, you know, there'll be checkpoints, as they said, where it's like, okay, for the first race, only the first 20 out of 24 are going to make it to the next part. If you don't make it, then you're out. And then, you know, goes like 18, 16, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess it's not quite Battle Royale. I guess it's more process of elimination. But that is new, and I think that's kind of cool. And that would be fun to try that out.
Thank you for pointing that out, whoever pointed that out. Look at that. That's going to look so much better now, probably.
Oh. Was that?
Let's watch.
Let's
watch.
We're watching because there's a delay. Yeah, we'll see how it looks. Yeah, I think that looks better. I don't know if you guys can hear the cat.
Now there's like not so much glow on the back of my head.
Good call.
Okay, so I think all that looks pretty cool. What other notes on Mario Kart do you have?
Let's see. Oh, yeah. Well, I think we briefly talked about this. So it is a launch title, which is good. It looks like this is the launch title for the game, the true new
This is
launch
the big
title,
launch title.
which is interesting.
And we'll come back. We'll circle back to this a lot later on why that is.
And I think you mentioned this briefly, but they said on April 17th, there is going to be more info about this game, like another follow-up direct. So we'll find out what else. But I would say overall, Mario Kart has always been a super fun series. I'm excited to see what they have in store. And personally, I want to see more of what they have for battle mode because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did have a ton of battle mode. There was like, you know, the regular balloon stuff. There was the Shine Thief. There was the bombs. They had a lot of like, the coin collection. You guys know what I'm talking about. Long story short, I'm excited. Honestly, I would love to see some retro throwbacks. Like, I want to see Block Fort from Mario Kart 64, but I want to play with like 24 people, you know?
That would be
I would
insane.
love to go back and replay some of those classic levels. So that if we could get some like retro, because they've remade the 64 courses, like the racetracks. Like, we have seen that. Anyway, so long story short, I'm feeling good. Do you have any final thoughts before we go to next topic?
I think that's all I have on Mario Kart for now. Again, Nintendo is doing a bigger direct specifically for just Mario Kart World on April 17th. So, you know, maybe we'll do something for that. Maybe I'll just make a YouTube short saying like,
Yeah. Cool. So that covers the very first topic. So the next topic is game chat. Do you want to start on this one?
I'm not gonna.
Without being, it would be easy to be cynical about this, but give a neutral take, and then we can clown on it if we want.
Here's what I'll say. I'll say this: like, it's cool that it's integrated into the console. Basically, what this Nintendo Live Chat is essentially what people have already been doing on Discord for years,
or Xbox Live for more years.
But the video and video.
But the video and video, yeah, that's
so
fair.
You can chat with friends. You can show what you're playing. You know, it doesn't even have, even if you're not playing the same game, you get a screen capture at the bottom. If you've watched the direct, you get a screen capture on the bottom of what, like, friend A is playing this, friend 2 is playing this, so forth and so on, up to at least 4 is what they showed us in the in the video, so you can see what they're playing, and then you can of course choose to like have the Nintendo 2 Switch camera, which is being sold on the same day as the console, which is a camera specifically for the console, and you can have like your face in front of the photo, or you can have like just your face, and like there's going to be things where like if you're playing like Mario Party, then a picture of your face live and moving and talking is next to your character, which, you know, that's its own thing, but it's basically like Discord integrated into your Nintendo. Of course, you have to be a Nintendo Online member to do this at all. I'll say this, it's cool that it's integrated in the console in case you don't have a PC or a laptop or anything handy or nearby. You know, you can also get on Discord on your phone. But anyways,
True.
I'm just saying.
Real quick, by the way.
It's its own thing.
I wanted to mention, we got a member chat from Marty Man. It's not showing up on the regular chat, so it's a member chat. So Marty Man, thank you for being a member for 70 months. Marty Man says they might have a knockout marathon mode where you race all 30 course landmarks. Each checkpoint eliminates one player.
Oh, I think that's what they were showing.
And now that's interesting. So the super chats show up, but the member chats do not.
We've experienced this before for some reason.
Anyway, thank you, Marty Man, for the member chat.
Thank you, Marty Man.
And then, Rich, did you want to catch that one from
yes.
Trip?
Thank you, Trip. Trip, you super chat and said, "You guys again. Hello, fellas."
Thank you, Trip.
It is us again. Thank you, Trip, and thank you so much for your super chat.
Anyway, did you? Sorry if I cut you off. Did you have any other points you wanted to make about the game chat?
No, I mean, that's it. It's basically just Discord on your Switch. And again, that can be good if you don't have a computer or a laptop handy or nearby, or whatever. You can do it on your console. You can get the Nintendo Switch 2 camera and do all of that like Discord-esque interactivity directly through your console. And in that respect, it is good.
Yeah.
I promised Chris I wasn't going to be too negative on this chat, so I'm not. But I will say, as someone like me who has a computer where I can do Discord, I felt like it's a little redundant. But I will accept the answer that maybe you don't have one. Maybe Nintendo Switch 2 is your first console. They show adults. I think that was the bad choice for them to show adults in the direct. They should have showed kids doing it, because that would have made so much more sense. Like kids that don't have,
kid might not have a cell phone.
They might not have a PC, or maybe they don't even have a cell phone, so they can't do Discord. Then the Nintendo Switch 2 chat is their only option.
Yeah.
So it can be good. It can be good. That's as positive as I'm going to be on it, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw this, it did kind of make me chuckle because, as you guys know, Nintendo has always been kind of hesitant to integrate online interactions. I mean, if you think about it, like when the Xbox 360 came out, or in fact, it might have even been the original Xbox, I forget. But back in the day, we used to be playing like Halo with like headsets on, yelling at like strangers. Whereas the GameCube didn't really have an online thing. It had the broadband adapter. So Nintendo's always been like, I think because they're more family oriented and more making games geared toward kids, they've been kind of hesitant to have the online multiplayer and online interaction and online chat. Now, they finally are rolling this out. So on the one hand, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, we've been doing this on Xbox Live for like 2 decades, and we've been doing this on Discord for 1 decade. But at the same time, it is convenient because it might be like, it takes like extra effort to be like, okay, now I got to get like my Discord app up on my phone or have my laptop next to me.
Thank you, Marty Man. Marty Man has super chatted and saying, off topic, but do you still have the old Mario house?
I'll comment on that, Marty Man. Thanks for asking. When it comes to stuff like houses, where we live, where we used to live, we don't answer questions like that anymore because it's not safe, because the internet's kind of dangerous these days. So thank you for asking, but we just can't talk about stuff like that for, safety and security.
Liability.
Don't want to get doxxed, but thank you for the super chat. Anyway, so going back to the chat stuff, I do like that they're integrating it. I do think that it could be handy, like if I want to chat with a friend and play online, like it's nice that I don't have to then grab my phone and get Discord, but I could also see myself just popping headphones into Discord and playing off my phone. So I do think that it's good. Now, one of the things that was interesting, if I understood this correctly, is it's going to be open access until March 2026, which I think means you can do it for free for a year, and then they're going to charge for it.
I interpreted it differently.
How did you interpret it?
It's because they made a big deal about the warning about you must be an online member to use the chat system, and then they said it's open source or open access for a year or whatever. So I took that as you still must be an online member, but you get the chat part for free. Meaning I took that as after whatever the date was, after a year.
Oh, you have to pay even more.
There's an extra price for the social stuff.
Yeah.
So who knows?
It's hard to say, because I remember when the Nintendo Switch came out, you used to have Nintendo Online for free. Because I remember I used to play Splatoon online for free. But then I think it was either the 1 or 2 year mark, I forget, a certain amount of time in, they then started charging money for it.
You still have to have an online membership to play games online and everything. So what would you be doing with chat?
You know what I mean? Unless it was, I guess, just your local, or not local, your friends. Anyway, I don't know. I don't quite understand the exact breakdown, but I think what it comes down to is I do think it's good that they're finally integrating this. It's going to be more convenient. There was one thing that we were kind of chuckling. Do you want to talk about the frame rate on the video?
Oh,
I thought that was kind of...
I just thought it was interesting that they chose in the official Nintendo Direct to show, when they show the screens of what your friends are playing, it's it really, bad resolutions and frame rate. Frame rate more so than resolution. But it's 10 frames a second, if that. It's just you see Mario racing and it's do, 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 do. Just really bad frame rates. And it's you can even zoom in on what your friends are playing. And it shows it on the big screen do, do, do. I'm this is very interesting that they didn't even fake it to make it look professional.
On the one hand, they could have easily just done a fake to make it seamless. But I guess your point was they just wanted to set the expectation down.
Yeah, because it's no matter what, then what they're saying is this is as good as this is going to look. Meaning that for most people, it'll look worse than that.
Yeah. So anyway, but overall, it's one of those things where, is it cool they added it? Yeah. Am I ever going to use it? I've got Discord, so meh. But it is, I suppose, a step in the right direction for social stuff.
Sure.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Game Chat?
No.
Okay, cool. We're moving on to the next thing, which is the Switch 2 specs. So do you want me to just kind of read off some of the details?
Why don't you just quickly go through the specs real quick?
So the screen is bigger. They've gone from 6.2 inches to 7.9. The resolution for the handheld console itself is from 720 up to 1080p. They've increased the frame rate to 120 frames per second. It's now HDR. The Joy-Con can be used as a mouse. We finally get 4K docked support on a TV, which is nice. You can play old games that are compatible, digital or physical. There's an audio jack on the controller. It comes out June 5th. And then there's Switch 2 games and Switch 2 Edition. So I just gave a bunch of info.
But the handheld itself is in 1080 now.
That's good.
Because the old one, the original Switch, your actual handheld Switch is only in 720. So what's funny is if you weren't playing your Switch on a TV, you weren't actually playing in high definition. Now you're actually playing in high definition in 1080, and your dock can go up to 4K. So, yeah, that's it.
I know.
Don't
I know it would be easy to say, come on, Nintendo, we've had 4K for a decade. What the heck are you doing? But we know that Nintendo is not trying to make the most advanced, cutting edge, next gen console when it comes to resolution and specs. They're always kind of a step behind, but you know that going in because they're more focused on the gameplay.
For the sake of later in the video, keep in mind that that's what you said. They're not trying to be the next cutting edge thing. They just want to be family friendly. Keep that in mind for later because that's going to be really important.
All right, fair enough. But I will say this. It is nice knowing that if you have a 4K TV, you now can actually play in proper 4K. And some of these things are cool. The one thing that I will give credit to Nintendo for that I was actually a little bit surprised they didn't have to do this. We've talked about this before, but the backward compatibility. Knowing that if I spent money on a Switch 1 game, I can play it on my Switch 2, that feels good. And not just if I bought a physical game, if I bought a digital one, you can switch up or hook up your Nintendo account. So ultimately, I am happy about that. And I do think that that is a nice way to honor people that spent a bunch of money on previous games. So kudos to Nintendo. They didn't have to do that. I thought that was nice.
So it is cool that you can plug in your Switch 1 cartridges. And I'm assuming if you own them on the online store, you can play them online. However,
Yeah.
the thing that is a little disappointing is that if you want them in 4K, like if you want your games to actually be at Switch 2 frame rates and resolutions, then you must buy the upgrade packs.
Enhanced, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's right. It's upgrade packs, plural.
Oh, sorry. We just got another alert that is not on the chat. Mikaru ASMR just became a member of the channel.
Congratulations!
Thank you, Mikaru, for becoming a member. If you become a member, you get a green badge by your name, and then you can send in member super chats. Also, Rich, I don't know if the... by the way, could you guys, if you're still in the chat, say hello? Never mind, there it is.
Just no one else was saying anything
I wasn't
for a
sure
minute.
if...
Because they disappear after a minute, you know.
Okay, we're cool. I see it now. We have a different setup for seeing the chats on our screen. But anyway, thank you very much, Mikaru, for being a member. And thank you, Sam, for keeping me in the loop. We got Sam backstage here, making sure that we don't miss anything.
So, anyways, what I was going to say is the thing that's a little disappointing to me is that these upgrade packs, like when, for example, when Fallout 4 did the next gen update, when you basically went from PS4 to PS5, that upgrade was free, and usually the next gen, again, I know that Skyrim has made a whole play on like buy the game again, but in most cases, when you're doing the upgrade, most companies will let you upgrade to the next version, or the next gen version, or the PS4 to PS5 version for free. I don't like that every single game was you must buy this individual upgrade pack for that game. They didn't talk prices in Nintendo Direct at all. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how much. I do know how much a game is, and we'll get to that later. But I don't know how much these upgrade packs is. Like $20, $30. How much is it if you already own Breath of the Wild? How much is it to upgrade to the Nintendo Switch 2 version? Because they said you can get upgrade packs that will, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, why not just be able to run the, you know what?
Well,
okay. Anyways, your thoughts.
I mean, would it be nice if they gave everything for free? Sure. But at the same time, they want to make some money. If they put time to up-resing some of the stuff to 4K, I get it. But I say let's actually chat about some of the games. So there's Mario Party Jamboree was the first one they mentioned. So Mario Party Jamboree came out on the Switch. So now there's a Switch 2 version, and it looks like there's like upgraded. So I think you guys saw, you can either buy the whole game for the Switch 2 version, or if you have the Switch 1 version, you can buy like the upgrade pack, I guess. But it looks like they are adding a lot of what you might call gimmicky things. Like there's like video interaction. You can have like your face in the game. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. It looks kind of fun. Honestly, the one that I'm the most excited about is Breath of the Wild. They also did an upgraded version because Breath of the Wild is a beautiful game. But remember, it was made for the Wii U. And then they also made it for the Switch. So I am curious to see if they go back and they do a true upgrade to increase the frame rate, to add the high dynamic resolution, to make it truly 4K.
So I noticed
it should look good.
A lot of people in chat are saying that some of the games will have free patches and some of them will have paid patches, depending on if they've added new content and everything.
Interesting.
So again, they didn't actually talk about prices.
So we don't know what the
video.
price is.
So we didn't know. But it's. So we don't know. But apparently some of them will be free, but some of them might be as much as like $30.
Yeah.
So
okay, fair enough. I guess we'll find out. But
we'll find out
I
when
will
these
say
things come out.
Overall, though, I mean, Breath of the Wild was such a fun game on the Switch when it first came out. I mean, that definitely was a game that like I have some amazing memories with, and it's crazy that it was almost 10 years ago now. What was it, 8 years ago? So being able to go back and replay Breath of the Wild, but get it in 4K, like I think that's going to be really fun. And I thought it was kind of neat because they said that you can transfer your save file from the Switch to the Switch 2, or you could start a new file. But if you want like all your gameplay stuff, you can just transfer it over. So I thought that was good. They mentioned a few other things. I think that'll be... Oh, yeah. They mentioned something called Zelda Notes, which was like a add-on through the Nintendo app where it was almost like a GPS Siri thing talking to you, like
right.
you're near a
The phone
shrine
stuff.
or you're near a Korok.
Yeah, I mean the GPS was one of the things. There was also like in Tears of the Kingdom when you like build a little like vehicle thing, then you can like send that to your friend
you
and they
send
can
the build. Notes. Yeah. So I mean, I thought again, it's a little bonusy thing. I thought that was kind of interesting. So, yeah.
People are saying they heard the
there's bikes going. Well, we got
these mics pick up more than I thought.
We got the window open, but yeah, there was loud stuff. That's kind of funny that you guys heard that. Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, there are going to be Switch 2 versions of games that you can get, and some of them are going to have extra features. Some of them it's just an up-res graphics. But overall, here's what I think about this. I do like this because it is possible that there are people that didn't play those games on the Switch 1. Maybe it's a younger kid who's Switch 2 is his first console, right?
Right.
And he wants to play all those Switch 1 games. Because here's what I was thinking. In fact, you know what? I'll save this point actually when we get to the next thing about the GameCube. Long story short, I am happy about... We'll see what the prices is. It's going to be annoying if they charge way too much, but if the prices are reasonable, I think it's a fair offer.
Right.
A few other things. There's Metroid they mentioned. There's different what is it? Quality versions, so you can do quality mode, which is 4K at 60 frames per second, or you could do performance at 1080p.
Oh, that was for Metroid specifically.
And it is interesting that you can use the Joy-Con 2 as a mouse for first-person shooter
aiming. Precision,
because people who play PC are like, oh, if you're going to play a first-person shooter, you got to play it on the mouse, not on the controller. Burr, 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 burr. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. All right. After that, do you have any other thoughts on that stuff?
Not really.
Okay. After that, they just went through and they listed a ton of games that are going to come out. So they mentioned it's like a mix of games. I'll just list these off. So there's Pokemon Legends, which is going to be a Switch 2 version. There's I think it was Dragon Drive, which is like a basketball game. Elden Ring, Hades 2, Street Fighter, Hogwarts Legacy, some new 007 James Bond game, some new Hyrule Warriors stuff. So they went through and they just did this montage of new games. Any of those? Do you want to comment on any thoughts on any of those?
I mean, yeah, that was the part of the Direct where they were basically talking about older games that they're porting over to Switch 2, which is again has been that's cool and I respect that. I do appreciate new games, but if you didn't have the best PC in the world to play Elden Ring, well, now you can play it on Switch. I don't know how it'll play on Switch. But at least now you can play Elden Ring at a fixed rate and don't have to worry about whether it's going to break on installation or not. Elden Ring is a really great game, so now more people might have access to it, which I guess is the best thing I could say about that.
Twin Tail mentioned Bravely Default finally being free from the 3DS.
Right,
was that the Square Enix game you said?
Yeah, that was the Square Enix game.
And you said you liked it, but you liked Octopath better?
It's good. I prefer Octopath Traveler, but...
Yeah, so... All right, so anyway, so that was kind of interesting. So next up, I do have quite a bit to say about this, the GameCube section.
Oh, I didn't realize we were going into the GameCube section, because I do have more to say. Well, you go first.
Sorry.
You go first.
Oh, we could go back. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about all the games? I don't know, there's a new...
the 007 game.
007, yeah.
Which we know nothing about. All they did was show us a gun barrel, and it was da 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 da, and it said Project 007. So they're basically saying we're working on a 007 game, but we don't have a name or we haven't started working on it or anything, but we promise it's coming, maybe.
And it was funny that they didn't even say James Bond. They just said 007, so I wonder if that's a licensing thing or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, the franchise is 007.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All the games are called 007, not James
GoldenEye
Bond
007.
Good point. Good point. I didn't play that much GoldenEye, Rich.
No, but I mean, Chris, the series is 007.
Oh, you mean even the film series?
Even the film series is when I had that big Blu-ray collection of all the movies, it was the 007 collection.
I just realized anytime people are chatting in casual conversation, people never say, what's the new 007 film? They always say, what's the new James Bond film?
They always say James Bond, but that's technically incorrect, is all I'm saying.
Every day.
The series is 007.
Right. There you go. Okay, well, 007.
It's like how it's Game of Thrones, but it's actually a Song of Ice and Fire, but nobody says a Song of Ice and Fire. They're always like, ooh, what about the Game of Thrones books? It's like, you mean a Song of Ice and Fire? Idiot. Anyway.
Do you have any hopes at all? Do you even care about James? I'm sorry. Do you care about 007?
Obviously, Chris knows I'm a huge lifelong James Bond fan. But, the thing is, right now, even the movie series is limited. I mean, you've heard, that could be its own thing, right? But, Amazon bought James Bond. They fired the Broccoli family. It's a huge, travesty. Because now it's like, well, what's Bezos gonna do with it? We'll see. That's a whole thing. We can talk about that another day if you want. But 007 is in so much limbo right now. It's hard to know if anything's ever going to be good in the world again. Anyways, so we can talk about that another day. Let's move on to GameCube.
Okay. So I am really excited about them bringing the GameCube back. And the first thing I wanted to mention is it's been a long time since the GameCube came out. I think the GameCube came out in 2001. So it's over 20 years old, which is pretty trippy because I remember playing a lot of those games as they were coming out. But the reason I'm happy that Nintendo is doing this is because since it's been so long, there are a lot of younger kids who never played any of those GameCube games, and it would be a great opportunity for them to experience some of the really good games from that era. Because when I was growing up and I was a kid, I actually did not own a NES or a Super Nintendo. The first console I owned was a Nintendo 64. So for me, the way I got to play a lot of those classic games was the cat's underneath the tripod right now, rubbing against it. So
can we see the movement?
If you guys were wondering why the camera got shaky, it's because the cat.
See the
the cat was shaking.
He's
the
rubbing
camera.
his face against the pole of the tripod.
That's kind of funny. He's gone now, but anyway, here's my point. Nintendo re-released a lot of those classic Mario games on the Game Boy. Or the Game Boy Advance, I should say. And that's how I actually played most of those all the way through. Because if I was at a friend's house, I wasn't going to have time to play through the entirety of Super Mario World in one sitting. I needed to own that. So my point is, I'm actually really happy that Nintendo is re-releasing some of these GameCube games because it's going to give people a chance to play these again. And then on top of that, a lot of people who owned a GameCube might have sold it a long time ago or lost it, or maybe it doesn't work anymore. So having the chance to go back and replay some of those GameCube games, I do think is going to be a fun trip down memory lane.
Yes. Yeah. I wish that we were getting more than 3 GameCube games at launch because I feel like it's just going to be a really slow loadout. You know?
We get Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. So that's the only ones available at launch. And then they teased more. Now
they showed a dozen more that are coming soon. I think they're all, if not all, just Nintendo published games. And one thing I was telling Chris is, and again, I'm not trying to be disappointed by everything, by the way. I want this to be a good console. I want to be excited. I just think it would be nice if they were coming soon, Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, the GameCube Rogue Squadron game. That was my favorite GameCube game. I loved Rogue Leader. Maybe there's some rights issues with Lucasfilm, but again, I didn't see a whole lot of other third-party games on there. Resident Evil 4 was originally for the GameCube and wasn't exclusive for it. Why isn't that on this list? Gosh, there's a ton of, just I want more third-party support. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was exclusive to the GameCube. Where's that?
The other thing I was thinking is some of the GameCube games have actually already been re-released on the Switch. So, for example, Mario Sunshine was on that, what was it, the 3D All-Stars collection?
Yeah, 3D All-Stars.
And then Pikmin, I think they made a bundle when Pikmin... Yeah. There was a Pikmin bundle that came out.
Wind Waker has also been re-released.
Now, was the Wind Waker HD re-release, was that the Wii U? That might have been the Wii U.
Might have been Wii U, but it's been re-released.
Your point is, some of these have been re-released. So, if I were to take a step back and think, what's a game that's never been re-released? Smash Bros. Melee. I don't think they've ever re-released that. Yeah. And then the original Animal Crossing, that's another one. Mario Kart Double Dash, I don't think that's been re-released. Those are just the ones off the top of my head. I'm sure there's probably more that I'm forgetting. But long story short, if they release like all the top hits, it would be fun to go back and replay some of those.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know that this is part of the like GameCube collection. If you get the online membership plus,
yeah, there's I think the base membership, and then there's the plus, which
online
is more
membership just gets you online play. Then you have to do the plus if you want like all the classic stuff.
And they already have some other games on there. Like I think they have like 64 games and stuff. So you get like quite the library of old games, which is kind of cool.
You know, as long as you can play all these games, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
One thing that was cool is they said that if there is a multiplayer GameCube game, you can do multiplayer locally or online. Now that is kind of cool. Like imagine, assuming that they do release Double Dash, imagine being able to play like Mario Kart Double Dash with your buddies online or Smash Bros. Melee with your buddies online. Like that's kind of cool because I always wanted to do that back in the day. Technically, you guys have probably heard me say this before. When the GameCube came out, there was a very little known adapter called the broadband adapter where you could do like a local area connection with GameCubes. Third-party fans made a like adapter to trick the GameCube into playing online. There was something called Project Warp Pipe, and I remember I used to do that. I'd go on the Nintendo forums and find people, and you could play Mario Kart Double Dash online before you could play any Nintendo game online. And I had some people that I met just on the Nintendo forums that I used to play with. It was like really slow and laggy, so I would like wait till I like went to a friend's house who had super fast internet, and then you'd have to make sure that the person was in a few hours of you to have good ping. Anyway. You guys probably never experienced that. But point is, being able to play some of those GameCube games online with like, you know, very little lag will be a fun treat. Rich.
Oh, I was just going to say it's like part of my joy of like playing an old games library. Like, for example, like, you know, you can get all the like PlayStation games on, you know, the PlayStation Store. Is being able to like hop between a bunch of stuff, you know? Like, so, you know, it would be nice. Because, like, I don't want to play more than an hour of Wind Waker. But it would be nice to, like, play it for, like, 20 minutes. And then jump on to, like, Resident Evil 4 for 20 minutes. And then be able to jump on to, like, Super Smash Bros. Melee for 20 minutes. Because I'm not going to play these games all the way through anymore.
You don't need to do the whole thing. You just want to, like, pop in, pop out, play a little bit for the nostalgia, and then jump to something else. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, it's hopefully, you know, like, everything that... It'll be fine.
Thank you. Last thing, well, a couple last things about the GameCube. The controller. They are reissuing the GameCube controller with a few extra things, like there's the game chat button on it.
So yeah,
and it's
once again, they're making new GameCube controllers, but it's only for online members, and you have to order it from, you know...
Yeah, so you have to...
Your membership on Nintendo.
So I thought that was interesting.
So you get it in the mail, basically.
I guess you have to be a member to even get access to buy it. But, I mean, you were saying, if you look at every controller Nintendo ever made, GameCube's probably the best and the most comfortable,
well, I mean,
right?
It's like that's what the Smash Brothers pros use. I mean, and the fact that they keep releasing GameCube or GameCube-like controllers... They're basically admitting, well, we haven't really made a great controller since the GameCube. Yeah, like not like every time I've had, or I've played Switch, I use a Pro controller because it's not that I hate the Joy-Cons. I think they're an interesting invention. They're not for me. Like
you want to hold a real controller.
I need a real controller.
I totally get that. I think that's why when I think about consoles, I have not enjoyed a console as much as the Switch since the GameCube because the Wii did not have a traditional controller and the Wii U did not have a traditional controller. Now, the Wii U did have smash pads, but they felt a little plastic, whereas the Pro controller on the Switch is a little bit heavier and it just feels good to hold. So, anyway, before we move on from the GameCube, since we're talking about the GameCube, it did kind of make me pause and think of what my favorite GameCube games were and my favorite memories were. I don't know how much you played the GameCube, but when you think of the GameCube era, which games come to mind? Which ones what are your favorite gaming memories from that era?
It's like it wasn't the greatest game in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but Star Fox Adventures.
Oh, good choice.
I actually had a lot of fun with it. I know it's not a real Star Fox game because you're only in space for like 3 times, and you're yeah, sure. But, like, I knew that going into the game that it wasn't a space adventure. You're stuck on this dinosaur planet,
right.
Because remember, it wasn't even supposed to be a Star Fox game.
First.
It was supposed to be Dinosaur Adventures.
Didn't JonTron make a video about that?
JonTron made the whole video about it. It was supposed to be Dinosaur Adventures. So my expectations, because I knew that going in, my expectations were tempered, and I actually had a lot of fun with the game, We eventually got, 2 or 3 more Star Fox games after that. Nothing's ever going to be as good as Star Fox 64. So that's the thing you have to realize. When you get as old as me, you start to realize that nothing's ever going to be as good as your childhood anyway. Once you have that in your head, you'll never be disappointed again, and you can just chill. So
that's funny. I was thinking back on the GameCube era because I really enjoyed that era quite a bit, and I mean, I have a few games that come to mind. Smash Bros. Melee, just hanging out with friends, just playing a ton of Smash. I think of Animal Crossing specifically. The Animal Crossing on the GameCube, you could play NES games in the game. So I thought it was funny that I was playing a GameCube game, and then my character was playing an NES game, like Balloon Fighter. Like, I remember just playing a lot of Balloon Fighter. That was really fun. Mario Kart Double Dash, I had a lot of good memories of that. And then, of course, Sunshine. Sunshine is probably my favorite GameCube game. I know Rich and I have already talked about this. Rich wasn't quite as big of a fan of Sunshine. I always had a soft spot for games.
I still had fun with Sunshine. It just it wasn't as good as Mario 64 to me.
Yeah, I totally get it. It felt super different than 64. For whatever reason, I just always liked beach games or beach levels in games like Treasure Trove Cove and Banjo-Kazooie, or all the tropical levels in Mario Kart or Mario Party. So Sunshine for me was really special. So when I think of the GameCube, Sunshine usually is the very first game I think of. But like I said, we've already got Sunshine on the Switch because of the 3D All-Stars. I don't know if you guys could hear the cat scratching.
Is that what you're shaking your head about too? Just because I know
I don't know if it's picking up or not, but if you hear scritchity scratch.
So that's Gary, my cat. And it's like you could see him. He just walks around, scratches the wall, scratches. He's not even doing anything
he's just
in there.
Scratching the wall.
He's
Why
now
is he scratching the
wall? Look at him.
See
him? See him just up there scratching. He likes to go in there and scratch. I think that he learned wrong on
He's
how
like,
to...
oh, you guys are trying to move live stream. How about I just make some noise
He saw the other cats scraping after they're done and thought, oh, that's what you do in there? Now he's got... Okay, Gary, come on.
Yeah, man.
Gary!
Going back to Sunshine, I like what Twin Tail Mix said. Sunshine is the perfect summer game. I think that's a good way to put it. Sunshine gives you that tropical vacation escape feel, where it's like, I want to go on a tropical island, and oh, look at that, though, the water bottle.
Yep.
He knows. Sam picked up a water spray can and just did one squirt in his direction, and he just bolted out of there. He knew. Very nice, very nice. Anyway, so just to wrap that up, Sunshine, it kind of gives you the taste of the perfect island adventure fantasy, where it's like the music, the vibes.
The taste of the next generation.
Anyway, you get what I'm saying. So I think that pretty much wraps up the GameCube. Any other thoughts before we go to the next topic?
No, I wish that they would just release the GameCube controller in stores, but I get it. They only want to make a limited quantity of them, so it's one per customer per online account, and you got to do it online, so that way they only have to make enough for their online members.
Yeah.
Fine. I hope it's not super complicated to order one online. And if you order one online, is it going to be here in time for launch day?
That's true. Good point.
So, there's that.
Okay. So, that wraps up the GameCube. Next up, briefly, Kirby's Air Riders.
Yeah, so a little confusing. So, of course, Kirby's Air Ride, originally for the GameCube, but rather than add it to their GameCube collection of games that they need more games on, they're like, oh, no, it's not the same game. It's Kirby Air Ride. And you know what's funny is the trailer they show even does exactly that. It's like Kirby Air Ride.
ers. They add the ers.
They have to add the ers because it's almost like, so what they're saying is it's the same game, but not really.
That's the part that was a little confusing to me because
they also didn't show any gameplay. It was just a
pre-rendered
thing. Trailer. So who knows?
Yeah, because I know that when it's been a really long time since the game has come out, like a great example is Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap came out on the 64 in the late 90s or the early 2000s. When the second Pokemon Snap came out on the Switch, they didn't want to call it Pokemon Snap 2 for whatever reason, maybe because they didn't want people to think they had to play the first one, so they just called it New Pokemon Snap. So I was kind of chuckling because I was like, I guess they didn't want to call it New Kirby's Air Riders or Kirby Air Rider. Anyway, it's like Mario Kart, but with Kirby characters on stars.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to lower her tail. So this is Toki, by the way. This is not Gary. Toki will just sit here and be quiet. But anyways.
Yeah. And Kirby's Air Ride on the GameCube was a fun game, and that was one of the few games that also was supported by the Nintendo broadband, so you could do a system link and play with your friends.
It could be good. Again, we didn't get any gameplay, but so Kirby Air Riders, it looks to be a fun racing game. Again, based on the zero footage that we got. I'll just assume it's going to be good because this time it is once again directed by Sakurai himself, famous for HAL Laboratories and Kirby, and we mentioned him. We talked about him a little bit at the con because it was don't forget about HAL Laboratories and Kirby with I forget the context, but obviously he did all the Smash Brothers stuff too. So he's but now he's back for Kirby's Air Riders, or so it should be good.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just not that big on Kirby's Air. I never played.
I never owned it. I just rented it. Remember back when you used to rent
when you
games?
could rent
it was
games?
a rent it for a few days kind of game. So, okay.
Only Kirby game I've ever really played, Chris, was the original Game Boy game.
Oh, you never played the 64 Kirby and the Crystal Shards?
No, I did a little bit.
Because that one, I felt like, at the end of the day, that's my favorite Kirby game. Being able to mix the superpowers to... Oh, we got a member chat. Thank you, Sam. All right, we got Xanderbrow.
Xanderbrow in the house.
Xanderbrow sent in a member super chat, member for 56 months, very impressive, and said, "We all excited for the GameCube 2 Special Pikachu Edition. What's up, y'all? Hi from set. LOL. By the way, anyone want a Nintendogs game for the Switch? Also, cat." Wow. Thank you, Xanderbrow. Always good to see you, and thank you very much for your continued support. I think that pretty much wraps everything up. Are you good to go to the final topic? The thing they saved for last.
The thing that they saved for last, and the thing that saved the Direct for me, honestly. This new Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Bonanza. This was such fun for me because I'm a big fan of big open world platforming games. And I don't feel like we get enough of those these days. Probably the most satisfying one lately was Mario Odyssey, but that was already 6 years ago now or something? I don't know.
It's been a while, yeah.
So this looks great. I love Donkey Kong's look. I mean, he has the classic Donkey Kong look, but he feels a little bit more alive now, and he's got he does the big grin all the time, which feels super arcade nostalgic, for Donkey Kong stuff. I love that it shows him being able to dig anywhere in the ground and doing that ground pound thing he does and being able to pick up rocks from virtually anywhere and then throw them, and it shows him throwing one, jumping on it and scooting on it like a skateboard. And we saw mine carts. We saw
some traditional side scrolling.
Oh yeah, there was a little
Donkey
traditional there was some Donkey Kong Country moments in there too. Really everything in the kitchen sink. I thought at first when the trailer started, I thought it was going to be Mario Odyssey 2
yeah.
Until they showed the monkeys in the mine. And I was like, oh, this is Donkey Kong, Mining and everything has always been an important aesthetic of Donkey Kong. They've never explained it, but mine carts and going into mines and just mining in general has always been a chief aesthetic of Donkey Kong. But this time they're going fully into it, like by actually showing the monkeys in like miner costumes with the suspenders and the helmets and everything. It's like
actual.
It's like, well,
mining.
now it looks like they're actually going to show us what the purpose of all this mining is. And you see Donkey Kong running around with like the jewels on his belt, like you see the big purple jewels on his belt and everything. So you know that like minerals and gems are going to have something to play in this. You know,
I mean, he's digging in the earth all over the place. So in a sense, it's like they're really going in on that mining aspect. Hello, kitty.
But again, mining has always been an aesthetic of Donkey Kong. It's just now it just feels like they're going in full ham, you know?
So as I think it was Twin Tails pointed this out, we have not... Does this
she bit me
kitty
for
cat
no
have an attitude?
reason.
Should we get her to skedaddle?
Goodbye.
You've been banished from the stream. Oh,
look,
and she's back.
You can see her on the stream. Oh, you missed it. You could see her like bite me a little bit. Like, what? You want love or fighting? What do you want?
She's got that look in her eye like she wants to... Thanks, Sam. Sam gave her the snap to get out. Be gone, kitty. Anyway, so as I think it was Twin Tail pointed out, we have not had a 3D platformer Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong 64.
Well, there was that one, the Donkey's Konga thing on the GameCube that kind of had some platforming elements in it. But you played some parts with like the bongo things that came with it.
Oh, I think I remember that.
But I don't remember it at all.
Yeah. Because I know that there was like Donkey Kong Country Returns. They've done a lot of Donkey Kong Country
I like the
throwbacks.
Donkey Kong Country stuff, but this is the first 3D, like true 3D platform. I mean, it's the first one anyone cared about since 64. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, that genre of games, we don't get that many big platformers anymore. Like we get the Mario games, like we get Odyssey, we were getting Galaxy, but like we don't get Banjo-Kazooie. We got Yooka-Laylee that, oh goodness, that came out almost 10 years ago, which was the Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor that was okay. But this one looks really good. Like, and I think you said that out of everything you saw for the Switch 2 in this Nintendo Direct, that's the one that you're like the most excited about, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm being frank, and again, since we've already talked about everything, I feel like I can be a little bit more frank. I was pretty disappointed by the Nintendo Direct until that Donkey Kong trailer. And it was like after the Donkey Kong trailer, that's when I called Chris and I was like, dude, I'm really excited for this Donkey Kong game. It really saved the Direct for me, honestly. Now, I want to talk about something I was going to talk about earlier, which is the Donkey Kong game actually comes out in July 17th.
Yeah.
So over a month after the launch of the system.
Which is June 5th.
So, yeah, the console comes out on June 5th. But I think there are two reasonable explanations. Both could be true or not. I think that on one hand, this Donkey Kong game may have taken a little bit more time to develop, and so they just needed some extra time, which means it could feasibly be delayed a little bit more too. What they're really promising with this trailer is it's not a launch game. It's going to come out afterwards.
A little bit after.
So I think that it's completely within reason that it might even be delayed till like Christmas time, you know, because they're probably trying to nail this game and get it right. But that's why I think they didn't have it as a launch game, is because they need some extra time to work on it. The second reason is because the Switch 2 launches either console alone or a bundle with Mario Kart World. So the game that they're really trying to sell at the beginning here is Mario Kart World. And, you know, for a lot of kids, you know, it's like, they're like, okay, honey, we'll get you the console, but you can only have one game. You know, every middle American, kid knows this thing, where it's like, you can have one game, and then we'll get you one more game at Christmas time. So it's like, Chris knows, right? Anyways.
True.
So it's like, you can only have one game. So they want to sell Mario Kart. Mario Kart is their launch game to sell. Donkey Kong is their game that will encourage people to keep buying the Switch 2 after launch. So it's a mixture of those two ideas, I
think. Be gone,
What
kitty.
do you think, Chris?
Yes, I agree with you. It seems like, in terms of true Switch 2 games, it's Mario Kart and Donkey Kong.
Right.
A lot of these other games are like Switch 1 enhanced. Like you get, Twilight Princess enhanced. You get Mario Party enhanced. So there will be games to play, but I guess it makes you wonder what other big titles are going to be coming out. Like, is there going to be a Odyssey 3 for Christmas this year or next year. Or sorry, Odyssey 2, not Odyssey 3. I guess that would be Galaxy 3. What's the next big Zelda game going to be? You know, are they going to make like another game a la Tears of the Kingdom in the Breath of the Wild universe, or are they just going to start over and make something totally fresh?
Dude, you know how it is. It's like there's Majora's Mask and then Wind Waker. You know, it's like they're not going to make. I don't think they're going to make. And they already have the Hyrule Warriors thing coming out too. You know, that's kind of set within that same universe. So I think they're done with the Breath of the Wild universe. I think the next Zelda game will look really different.
It'll probably be different, yeah. So in terms of like dream / almost wishes, I was going to say I wanted to mention this. So these are games that I don't think are ever going to be made, but if they did, I'd be really happy. I would love sequels to some older games. For example, if we could get a true successor to Mario 64, like Mario 64 2.
Mario 64, The Search for Curly's Gold.
That would be so cool. Similarly, if we could get a Mario Sunshine 2, that would be amazing. My ultimate dream, which will probably never happen because Rareware left Nintendo, but if we could get a Mario 65, that's pretty good, twin. If we could get like a Banjo 3E, that would be amazing.
I mean, the thing is, they don't need Nintendo to do that.
That's true.
They could make here's the thing. They could make a Banjo-Kazooie game anytime. They just don't because Nuts and Bolts failed miserably. So they're like, well, what's the profit in that, you know?
Yeah.
Because they don't see the profit in going back to basics. You know what I mean? Plus, everybody at Rare who worked on that game is pretty much gone.
They're all scattered to
a lot of them went to Playtonic to make Yooka-Laylee. And Yooka-Laylee is essentially... it's the closest we're ever going to get.
The closest you're going to get. Yeah, I agree with that. But overall, I would say it is kind of the end of an era, beginning of a new one. I mean, remember, the Switch came out back in 2017.
Yeah.
That was 8 years ago, which is wild. And I do think that the Switch era, it was a pretty darn good era. I mean, think about what happened with Nintendo. Like, the Wii was extremely successful, and so many people got the Wiis. I mean... You know, people that never even bought gaming consoles bought Wiis. But then the Wii U came out, didn't do as hot. The Switch came out, totally redeemed it. So I think that it was pretty smart on Nintendo's part to just call this the Switch 2 so everybody knows this is, hey, you like the Switch? Get the Switch 2. And I do think that Nintendo is setting it up to be a pretty good console. I'm optimistic. I'm going to try and get one on launch as long as I can, like, figure out all the, you know... It's been so long since I've got a gaming console on launch. I'm going to have to figure out how
I don't really
pre-orders
need
work.
one at launch. I would like to get one for my family by Christmas, you know, like get it for Christmas, I think would be nice. Hi, Toki. She just wants to be in the video so bad.
Now, I'm the star of the show.
As long as I can get it by Christmas, I think we're
That's
good.
fine.
I just want to play Donkey Kong. Honestly, I mean, hey, there's your Banjo 3, Chris.
It's basically Donkey Kong
you know?
Bonanza. Oh, there he goes. All Sam has to do is get the little water spray nozzle and boom, she gone. Okay. Oh, did you want to talk about the pricing rumors for the game?
Okay, that's right. So the Nintendo Direct didn't mention prices anywhere, which I think was smart because it just got people excited about the stuff without having to worry about financials, right? So we know, and this is what's crazy, is that every single Switch 2 game will be, what, $79.99?
Okay, yeah. So it was, I think it's $80 for the digital and $90 for the physical.
Oh, yeah. So
Now,
so an extra $10 for a physical copy.
Check that, because it was interesting, because I saw everybody talking about that, but it wasn't, I don't remember seeing it in the Direct. I think that was mentioned somewhere else. But
yeah, that was like on a Variety article or something. But like, yeah, allegedly the games are going to be $80 or $90 if you want a physical copy. Now, they've talked about, video game companies have talked about that for a while, how hard it is to keep making physical editions, and people have said, well, why don't you just charge more for the physical copies? So Nintendo's like, okay.
Okay, here we go. So, quick correction, it looked like FIFA and JD are saying it's 70 for digital, 80 for physical, so I guess we got that slightly off. But yeah, so that
But either way,
was
it's going to be
surprising.
$10 more for a physical copy.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. I mean, that's, gotta say, that's pretty pricey, because like most games have been 60, so jumping up to, I mean, 70, 80, that's quite the jump. But I guess we'll see if Nintendo stays true to that or they change it. Oh, I saw Brandon's comment. We forgot to mention that. The thing about
yeah.
You want to mention that?
I forgot about that too. Yeah, you could clearly tell that Mario is not Charles Martinet. You know, I think we're finally past all the voice work that he has done. Yeah. And I was like, that doesn't quite sound like Mario.
That sounds like off Mario.
And I get it. I mean, if I was Charles Martinet, I'd want to retire too. So it's fine. It's just like you could tell Mario's voice sounds slightly like, I don't know, like higher pitch or something.
Yeah.
He's like, let's go. It was like, you know what I mean? Instead of like, let's go.
Yeah,
It didn't have the gusto. It didn't have the bravado of a Charles Martinet.
Yeah. So
Timu Mario, as EDMG just said.
Okay. So game comes out on June 5th. That's basically literally
2
like
months.
Exactly 2 months from today because we're
60
live streaming
days.
this on April 5th.
We're live streaming this on April 5th. You're right.
Today's
wow, it's April 5th. Wow, how about that?
I was just saying that for people that might watch the replay. So
I had like a Nathan Lane moment there. It's April 5th. Anyways, so about the pricing though. Do we know how much the console itself actually is going to cost?
I think I forget. I saw a few prices. If you guys saw, say in the chat how much the console is going to cost.
How much is the Switch 2 at launch?
Was it 500? Was it 450? Okay, so Twin is saying, Twin Tail Mix is saying it's 450, and so is JD Martinez.
So
okay, cool.
A game
so
costs you 80, including Mario World, unless you get a bundle. They are also selling a bundle, but you know that bundle is going to get sold out quick.
Yeah.
So if you get the bundle that includes the console with Mario Kart
Oh, there we
World,
go. So Twin and FIFA are saying it's 500 if you get the Mario Kart bundle.
So it's essentially you're spending $50 for the game if you get the bundle. If you can't afford or if you can't get the bundle because it's not available, then you have to spend $450 for the console and then $80 for the game. So you're saving like $30 if you get the bundle. But here's the thing. God, that's expensive. God, that's all expensive.
That's pricey.
Like if that is to continue, it is really crazy because I mean I do wait for most games to go on sale. The problem with Nintendo games,
they never go on sale.
They never really go on sale. I remember when like we were in like the middle of the GameCube era, and if you wanted to buy, because remember you go to Walmart and get a copy of Super Mario 64, brand new, cartridge, you could still get one like halfway through the GameCube era, but it was still like
price.
$50-$60 for Super Mario. Like Nintendo games hold their value really well. Like a nice Honda. No, but like they're like Nintendo games take a long time to depreciate. In fact, they take so long that by the time it's like 20 years old, now if you want like a cartridge of Ocarina of Time,
it's more expensive.
Now it's like $300 that you got to get somewhere. So it's like they're never going to go on sale. But if I want Resident Evil 4, the remake that just came out like 6 months ago, I can buy it on the PlayStation sale right now for like $15. You know what I mean? Like. And that's a new game, basically. Yeah. So it's like, everything's really cheap. I know, I'm sorry that I keep comparing everything to PlayStation, but it's like that's what I play most of the time is my PS5. So, it's hard. Like, I just, I spent some money because I hadn't bought new games in like years. And then I got a little bit of money and I was able to get like a bunch of games because it was like I got Final Fantasy VI, the Pixel remaster for like $10,
nice.
And I got I finally got the like Witcher 3 DLC that I never had on PS5 for like $10. And then, I'm like, I'm spending like $10 here, $10 here, $10 here to get a lot of good value, Would I then spend $80 on a new Mario Kart game that's not that different from the Mario Kart game that I already have?
I see your point. I guess it really depends on how much extra content they have and if it really is like, what they got. I guess for me, I mean, I own pretty much every Nintendo console, or at least I owned them over the years. And I I'm leaning toward getting this one at launch. So, hey, there you go. If you don't want to get it at launch, I'll get it if I can.
I mean, if you want to get it launched, that's fine. But for your regular consumer, I'm advising at least wait until Christmas.
Yeah.
Because there's inevitably going to be at least one Christmas bundle that'll make it a little bit more worth it. And by the time we get to Christmas, we'll have Donkey Kong. We'll have some more of the GameCube games on the... Like, there'll be more content on the console. But I would say if you can make it past Christmas... Wait till next year because there's going to be more games. Hopefully some of them will have gone down in price. And also by a year's time, they would have, done their little secret like, oh, did you know that because it's like, oh, this version of the GameCube doesn't have digital out, but that's because they redid the firmware on the, you know what I mean? Like,
I see what you mean. They do subtle changes.
They do versions 2 through 10 without telling anybody. So that's like, because people will compare the back of their GameCubes and they'll be different.
They'll have different outputs.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So, you might want to wait until that because ultimately the system is going to be made better as it goes along. That's just what always happens. I remember I had 2 different PS1s back in the day. One had like the external port out and one didn't because one was the later one. I never had the PS1 Slim, the tiny one, but I remember that. I had the full-size console twice, but something happened, I think. I can't remember why my original one broke. Like cat peed on it or something. No, I don't remember. Something happened. I had to get new, and I was like, oh, it's missing a thing. So I had a peripheral that connected to one of those ports that no longer would connect to my new PS1 because the other one didn't have it, or something. It was something like that. But even they take things away. The original Nintendo famously has that port on the bottom that never went to anything, right?
Yeah.
They'll take those kinds of things away from consoles when they're like, you know what, we didn't really do anything with this. Even if there's 1 or 2 third-party things, sometimes they just take them away because they didn't do enough with them. And they're able to make improvements to the motherboard or something because then they don't have to have that extra inclusion, so they then are able to spend more on other parts of the console. So ultimately a console does get better over time. So if you want to wait for your Switch 2 Slim, you can wait. That'll probably take years. But I would say, there's a lot of benefits to waiting a long time.
Oh, hey, Penrose is in the chat. Good to see you, Penrose. I saw his name stood out because we gave him mod privileges. And he said, bring back the Tingle Tuner or we riot. Oh, man, that's a throwback.
So, basically, Chris is going to get one right away.
I'm going to try.
Or try.
We'll
it might
see.
Be difficult.
It's as people were saying, we don't need to go into all the unique things happening in the economy right now. But needless to say, it sounds like the start date to even be able to pre-order is up in the air. We don't.
Right.
They were changing the date
in North America. For us, yeah.
So because I think we talked about this on a previous stream, but Rich got the Switch 1 on launch on day 1, and I did not. And then I regretted not getting it on day 1. And then I spent 2 weeks scrambling trying to find one because there was a shortage. So that's why I'm leaning toward doing a pre-order because I would like to get mine day 1 and not have to, FOMO for 2 weeks when I'm seeing all these clips of people having fun free roaming on Mario Kart, And I'm like, it's so fun without me. So anyway, but even then, the main one that Kitty Cat came back, Kitty Cat gone. The main game you want, which is Donkey Kong, isn't even coming out until a month later. In July,
I mean, either way, I wouldn't even attempt to struggle to get one on launch day. If I was feeling super FOMO about Donkey Kong, I would get one after Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
and then by that time we'll also know how easy or hard it is to get the console and does it come in black, and all that stuff. Of course it comes in black. I think the default is black, but that's my Batman Begins joke.
Yeah.
Does it come in black?
That's right. I forgot about that. Anyway, so I think that pretty much covers all of our prepared thoughts. So I guess, do you want to maybe just do general open to the chat, see if anybody has any generic questions or comments or whatever?
If anybody has anything to say, now's the time.
Yes.
Why are the cats so misbehaved?
Why are the cats so misbehaved? I don't know. They were behaved for years, and then in the last couple months, they're going crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, free for all for those of you that are still watching. By the way, be sure to give this video a like if you haven't already. I haven't even said that all stream. But if you have a question, throw it in. Obviously, if you guys super chat, much appreciated. We'll prioritize your stuff, but in general, we'll try and just kind of read questions you guys got here.
How do you feel about the magnetic Joy-Cons? I personally don't trust it. I do question that because all of the memory is sitting right next to the right Joy-Con, and you're not supposed to put magnets next to memory. So I foresee problems going down the road with that.
Weird issues, yeah.
It'll be like, all of a sudden my save games are being wiped. Why? It's like, well, maybe this giant magnet that I'm pulling off. And even if it's not that clear, like, well, it's far enough away, kids are gonna leave their Joy-Cons like on top of their Switch consoles. Or they're using their consoles to, they're gonna wipe data either way, anyways.
Tim Rogers, thoughts on the Minecraft movie? I didn't see it. Any thoughts?
Took the kids to see it. What was it, Thursday? I actually, when that first trailer dropped, I thought it looked like absolute garbage. The second trailer, I was like, there's some promise there. I tell you what, guys, I was laughing and enjoying myself the entire movie. Call me crazy, but like, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. As you know, it's from the writer and director of Napoleon Dynamite. So it's like, if you like Napoleon Dynamite, and Napoleon Dynamite's fun, I can only watch it a couple times because it's so, it's like, like,
it's one of those movies.
It's like, you got extra nugs or whatever, it's fun, but like, it's like that, but faster, more intense, but it has that kind of silly humor to it. Okay. I liked it a lot, honestly. I'm serious. Like, I actually, like, I was going in expecting to hate it, but I actually really enjoyed it. And I thought they did a really good job of, like, not, sometimes there are things where it's like, game reference, but most of the time when they're doing that, they're incorporating it into the plot of the movie in a way that feels organic. So, I don't know. I liked it. I liked it. You got me.
All right. Very good. I saw a comment that TGM said it was thoughts on the new Superman preview.
Oh, that's right. I've totally forgot. They showed us the first, 5 minutes of Superman. Like, when you go see Minecraft, you get to see the first 5 minutes of Superman.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I mean, I'm a big Superman fan, I liked it. I liked what they showed. I liked we got to see, by the way, the Fortress of Solitude, and like how it's like, normally in Superman, it's like once the fortress is there, it's there. I liked how it's basically like it's hidden, so nobody else can find it. But when Superman gets close, it comes out of the ice, and with all the crystals. So it's like it does like the little down up action, So I like that. I like how Crypto is like a naughty dog most of the time. I liked Superman's robots, and I like that they just basically put a giant sun laser on Superman's chest to revive him. That was fun. They're like, oh, you need yellow sun, Kal-El. It's
nice. All right.
I thought it was a lot of fun.
That's good. Very good.
Really good stuff. Really good stuff. It was a clip from the movie Word 789. It just happened to be the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
I mean, James Gunn has also said, like, that's where by the way, it's like where he, falls out of the sky, hits the ground, he gets dragged by Crypto. That's the beginning of the movie, by the way.
Wow.
And that's where this clip started as well.
Very good. Good question. Any other questions or comments, guys? We're pretty much at the end of the stream here, so we'll see if you guys got any other topics you want us to chat about before we wrap up. You want to take that one?
Oh, you think
Martinez?
the James Gunniverse, is that what we're calling now, is going to save the WB? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, James Gunn has proven himself to be, obviously he's James Gunn. He makes fun movies. I'm really looking forward to his Superman because, he wouldn't have been my choice for Superman, but that's because I unfortunately have, like, all of the biases in, it's like, I have this terrible thing called biasness that we all have, where it's like James Gunn, but I don't want my Superman movie to be like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a little too silly and fun to be Superman. But, we forget, James Gunn is an artist. He's made horror movies. He's made different things. And yes, he does have a certain kind of style that he puts into things, but just because he made Guardians of the Galaxy a specific way doesn't mean that he can't then also make Superman a little bit different. You know what I mean? I would hate that. And I know people have thought that of me. It's like, that guy that made Stupid Mario Brothers, I don't want him to make the next zombie drama. I don't know. Just an example. But it's like, people are capable of telling more than one type of story. Stephen King wrote It, the story about a psychotic alien clown that kills kids. Stephen King also wrote The Shawshank Redemption, a completely different story about trying to liberate yourself from prison. You can make more than one type, you know?
So I guess your point is James Gunn can probably do a pretty good job on
I
Superman.
trust him to make Superman. However, choosing him to be the CEO of all things DC at Warner Brothers, that I question. Because he's a good director, but is he a good studio head? Is he going to be able to... Because there's been all these things where it's like the guy that was supposed to direct the Batman movie was like, he's like, oh, I haven't even talked to James Gunn since that initial meeting. It's like, are they going to be able to juggle and make this work? Because the Snyderverse, as we know, fell apart and landed on its head. So I'm optimistic. I want it to work. I do want it to work. Is it going to work? I have no idea. I think that Superman will be good, though. I have faith in that at least Superman will be good. I have been watching Born Again. I disappeared, so didn't see who said it.
Daredevil?
Yeah.
Again? Yeah.
I have been watching Daredevil Born Again. It is, of course, a sequel to the Daredevil show from a few years ago. It's great. Gunn is essentially the Kevin Feige of DC now. But again, Kevin Feige, grand plan and everything. It's like, I don't know if James Gunn has the grand plan. We don't know. We'll see. We will see. Anyways, Chris?
I think, yeah, I mean, as far as all the movie stuff goes, I know you're more of a superhero comic book fan, movie buff than I am. So I'll go see it with you and I'll enjoy it. But I don't have like the super in-depth lore background. Now, if you guys want to ask me about anime, I could go on quite a bit about that, but I don't want to bore Rich to death. So anyway, but glad to hear. It sounds like overall you're excited for Superman and you feel optimistic.
I'm feeling really good about the Superman movie. Yeah. If anything else, and they do have some stuff planned. There's obviously Supergirl, who's being she'll be introduced in the Superman movie, and then she's getting her own movie. And then we are getting Brave and the Bold, who, eventually that's, Batman and Robin. There's also the Lanterns show that is going to be on HBO Max. That's part of it. So the grounding is coming together. We'll see. I'm optimistic. TGM Production says, is the Hobbit trilogy worth watching? Pretty random, I know. If you love Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, you'll at least like his Hobbit movies.
One time. That's how I feel about
it.
TGM, I saw all 3 of the Hobbit movies in the movie theater. And after I watched them, I decided I don't have the desire to watch them again. If I'm in the mood to watch Lord of the Rings or go to that world, I'll just rewatch the original trilogy.
If you loved Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
Which has such good replayability. I mean, almost once a year, I will go back and I'll rewatch the trilogy just because it's so good.
I love Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies. I tolerated the Hobbit movies.
It's worth watching once. I'll say that. And I don't really know how to explain it aside from just watch Lord of the Rings and then watch The Hobbit and you'll know what we're saying. It's like, it's okay, but it's not
I think
the magnum opus.
I'm not even going to pretend to know, I know what would have made the Hobbit movies better or not. If only they made it 1 or 2 movies, maybe, or it could have sucked being 1 or 2 movies. We don't know. But, all I say is, my gut tells me it would have benefited from being made at the same time or right after the original Lord of the Rings because you could use the same actors and a lot of the same sets and also about the same level of technology. I hate that, The Hobbit
CGI.
It overuses staging and CGI, whereas, the Lord of the Rings trilogy really zones in on optical effects and a lot of practical stuff. Obviously there's CG in Lord of the Rings, but I love that when you go behind the scenes and you see Ian McKellen is just sitting 10 feet in front of Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood, it was the optical illusion. Yeah.
There's a monster amount of optical effects in Lord of the Rings. Camera effects, practical effects, staging, set design, miniatures. Then you get to The Hobbit and they're like, computer. It's just all CG nonsense in The Hobbit. Also, I love, what's his name, who plays The Hobbit? who plays the Hobbit in the Hobbit? It's,
I forget his name. I know who you're talking about.
Watson from
the dude. Yeah.
He was Watson in the Sherlock show. He's he's in Marvel now as that one agent guy. He's a great actor. Love him, but he doesn't look anything like Ian Holm. You know, like, and then you have Ian Holm at the beginning of the movie kind of being like, I remember when I was like, there's the scene in Fellowship of the Ring where they show Bilbo getting the ring, and it's still Ian Holm, and they just made him look younger. Why didn't we just do that?
I agree. And also, thank
Martin
you, TGM.
Freeman, yeah.
It's Martin Freeman.
Yeah, Martin Freeman. I love Martin Freeman, but he just doesn't look anything like Ian Holm to me.
I just thought of something else in movie news. It's a little bit sad, though, but I actually did want to get your thoughts on it. Val Kilmer. He just passed away. I wanted to know obviously, that's really tragic. He was only 65, but the reason I brought it up is I wanted to know, what do you think was his greatest movie or his greatest movies, just to kind of look back on his legacy?
If we're looking back at like the legacy of Val Kilmer, obviously he was huge in the 80s with movies like Top Gun and Willow, and then got through the 90s with Batman Forever. I love Tombstone, yeah, awesome. I also love, I think it's called the Saint. Is that the one where he's like kind of like in disguises and everything? I love stuff like that. What a awesome. I also just thought he had a great attitude, and he was a really just legitimately nice guy. It's just too bad he was suffering from cancer for years, and ultimately that's what did him in. But.
Yeah, you showed me Tombstone for the first time last year because I'd never seen it.
Oh wow, yeah.
He is so good in that. And I was gonna say that line, like, "I'll be your Huckleberry." Like, I was, because he passed, everybody was like posting clips and stuff, and apparently, like, he had to practice the whole entire movie set to get the little cup to twirl properly because the gun is balanced. But he spent like months spinning that little cup the whole time whenever he was bored so that he could do it real quick. And that was such a good scene. So yeah, man, Tombstone is such a great Western. I went back and I rewatched that clip the other day just because I was thinking about that. So good.
I love that because that scene has so many meanings too. Because like the first guy's like with his gun, like doing the gun stuff, and he's just like, oh, it's like, look, you can do that with anything, idiot. Like, like, look this is how dumb you look.
It diffused the situation, but he was also showing him that he knew he was better than him, and I think it was a threat, saying like, I can do this with a cup. Imagine what I could do with my pistol, or revolver, whatever the type of gun was. But anyway. That was really cool. I don't know if you saw this because I didn't even know this, but apparently Val Kilmer made a documentary called Val.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was
I
like
watched the
last year,
trailer.
I think,
It just came out recently. For those of you that, so I haven't seen it, but I watched the trailer for it, and apparently
it's really good.
He made a ton of personal video recordings, like a camcorder, throughout his whole life.
Yeah.
And they had his son narrate because his voice got lost.
Yeah.
So if you guys like Val Kilmer, it seems like that would be, it's funny, I'm giving the pitch and I haven't seen it, but Rich has seen it. Would you recommend it?
I love it. It's a beautiful, like, like Val Kilmer would often like kind of do his own behind the scenes.
Like video journals almost,
and
right?
So they've stitched together all these, wonderful behind the scenes, along with like Val like making it to conventions now and stuff. Even though he barely can, he's got a tube through his neck that he tries to hide with a scarf. So he does attempt to talk, but it's like very gargly, and he has a hard time talking. So, but you really get to know Val Kilmer in the documentary, and that's why I say he's such a great guy. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, see Val. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, so rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Thanks for giving us some amazing movies. May your legacy live on.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, somebody in the comments also mentioned Gene Hackman. That was a couple months back, but still really sad. And also, obviously Gene Hackman, a library of incredible decades of work, but and he had been retired for like at least 10 or so years, but he was, of course, Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I really love him in stuff like Royal Tenenbaums, and obviously there's all of his crime movies from the 70s, like those are really cool. Just an incredible actor. Gene Hackman.
Very good. Well, I'll be honest. I'm hitting that energy point where I'm ready to wrap up, unless you had other things you want to chat about. But I feel like that's a good point.
I'll answer this last question from FIFA that asked what YouTubers I'm watching nowadays. I don't really watch as much YouTube. I mean, I never really actually watched that much YouTube, to be honest. But the ones that I really pay attention to still is just I watch the John Campea show on YouTube, but I could also listen to it on Spotify, and Mr. Sunday Movies, like the Australian guys that do their fun caravan of garbage and movie reviews. Those guys are fun. Other than that, very sporadically, in like the once in a blue moon that JonTron will come out with a new video, I'll watch that. But that's it. That's pretty much all I'm doing on YouTube these days.
Yeah, it's interesting that you phrased that question, FIFA, because I realize a lot of times when I'm on YouTube, I'm just watching stuff that the algorithm feeds me. I'm not following a YouTuber. Because I was thinking back in the golden age, like I used to watch Smosh and Ray William Johnson and Freddie W., Barats and Beretta, like Philip DeFranco, Kasim G. Like I used to watch YouTubers. Now,
like that's actual YouTubers.
Now, I mean, I'll tell you what I've been watching. Like, I really like watching reviews on anime, but I can't give you the name of like the anime reviewers I go to because I just hop on and I go through my feed.
Sometimes I watch stuff like the Hindley Street Country Club. That's that Australian cover band, but they're not really YouTubers.
They're not YouTubers.
They're a band that just happens to put their stuff on YouTube. Yeah. You see, that's different. It's like they're using YouTube. They're not YouTubers. Yeah,
so it's a really good point. Like I can't really like once in a blue moon, I'll watch like a PewDiePie video because he does these, blogs now over in Japan. But like I only do it if like the algorithm recommends it to me. Like, or maybe once in a super blue moon, I might check out like the newest Mr. Beast video if it catches my eye. But I don't really watch YouTubers that much. I guess just the way that the algorithm is. If I'm interested in a topic, like, I want to see the reviews, like, for example, I'll give you, like, without going into too much detail about anime, Solo Leveling and ReZero, they both just finished their respective seasons last week. So I'll watch people review and just give comments on, those seasons, but I can't think of one in particular. So long story short, I guess I just don't follow any YouTubers. I just watch topics that the algorithm recommends.
No, I haven't been watching Mr. Beast games on Amazon Prime. I've never watched Mr. Beast at all. I've never watched him even when it was just a YouTube thing.
Consider yourself blessed. So anyway, but I guess it is what it is. And we're kind of in a different era now where, people don't even really consider themselves YouTubers anymore. Now you're an influencer and you do stuff on TikTok and you do stuff on Twitch or Kick or wherever people are streaming these days. It's, it is what it is. Anyway, well, to wrap all this up, it is exciting to see all the new Nintendo news. It's exciting to know we got some good movies to look forward to this year. 2025 should be a pretty packed year in terms of gaming and movies. So I think there should be some fun stuff to look forward to. Any other final thoughts, Rich?
Life is a cookie. All right. Well, that's it. So I think we're done here. Why don't you...
How are we gonna sign this off? Oh, I know. We could do the. You wanna do like a chill, low key NPR? Please subscribe voice. You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens out there. Everyone, give this video a good old-fashioned subscribe or like if you're already subscribed, and we'll see you on the next edition of the Rich Alvarez stream. Until next time, this is Rich Alvarez saying, hey. What are you watching me for?
That was good. That was good. Anyway, well, with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
And an even more pleasant tomorrow. Sorry.
All good, Rich. All good.
I got bit by my cat again. So
it threw you off? Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to...
It's like you can pet her on the back and she's fine, but as soon as you try to pet the front of her, she bites you.
I got to go ahead and shut down the stream, but it looks like we have 26 people watching now. We went for an hour and 30 minutes. And just thank you again to everybody who tuned in today. Really appreciate you guys watching our stream.
An hour and 30 minutes? You could have watched a Disney movie, but you watched us instead.
Be sure to give this video a like before you guys head out, and hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. And we're going to go ahead and sign off. So take care, peace out, and we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.